This episode of Capes and Lunatics is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. Get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to the Capes and not the Capes and Lunatics, to Super Connectivity. What show am I on? What day is this? I don't know. I demand answers. Answers I demand, and I am your host, Charlie the Professor Esser, professing I don't know what day it is, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits.
Fill me in, Perich.
Welcome, Philip. Fill me in, Perich, the man who knows what I do not. So Phil, let's get a couple quick things out of the way. Let's talk Legends of Tomorrow, the show I live tweet every Sunday night at 8 at Charlie Esser. We'll get to that in a minute. So this was the stuff episode. They even reference the stuff in it. And there's kind of maybe this implication by the end of it. I don't know. Maybe we're not supposed to guess this. But you get the feeling that Belly Burgers actually has maybe a lessened ingredient in the secret sauce. So it's like that same hyper addictive stuff in the sauce, secret ingredient. That, but it's lesser now, because that's what they tried to do with the stuff at the end. They were going to say, okay, it's got the same addictive quality, but it doesn't turn you into a zombie.
I mean, Big Belly Burgers showed up on like Arrow and Flash and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they're just like, oh, that was the source of the metagene. That's how all these people got superpowers. Entirely
possible, Although, hey, let's hear it out for black-owned businesses in the 50s. Becoming a nationwide success. So until Ray Kroc comes and buys it out from under it, because he didn't buy those McDonald's Brothers franchise instead.
Well, yeah, didn't that guy make a comment about, oh yeah, there's other guys. It's Mick.
Yeah, the McDonald's. Well, because that's kind of an honestly, if you really want to get dark on it, that's like the dark joke. Is that in our universe, Ray Kroc basically screwed the McDonald's Brothers out of their franchise idea and cut them out, and then had all of that money for himself. And it's a very dark and disturbing time in history. Fast food history. And in this one, it's like, and he did it to a black woman in this one, because presumably, if you want to follow that line of logic, since we have Big Belly Burgers everywhere in this universe, but not McDonald's, maybe that's because Ray Kroc went and stole this out from underneath that poor woman. And of course, as a black woman, probably was forgotten to all of history. So,
well, one thing you could say, Ray Kroc's not racist, man. He screwed everybody over.
I don't think you could say that either. I don't think.
Well, white people, black people, he just took everybody's ideas.
Yeah, but he could still also be. He could be much more racist if you wanted him to. Yeah. That's sort of the thing about it. It's this idea that, and he felt less guilty about it because this was actually a black woman, and so why wouldn't you just steal her ideas? So I'm just saying there's a dark underbelly even in Legends of Tomorrow. Not just Amelia Earhart caught in a loop. And
I mean, what is with like pop culture obsessed with Amelia? I mean, I know it's a big mystery, but I mean, remember she showed up on Voyager too.
Oh yeah. Well, the idea is that anything that, and I guess there's a lot of nerds who are very fascinated by Amelia Earhart because she was a famous aviatrix, and if you are a person who is fascinated by strong female characters, of which many female nerds likely are, that becomes a character that you want to have some kind of story with. So I'm never surprised to see Amelia Earhart show up.
was one of the big unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more fascinated to find out that someone was the Limburg baby, quite frankly. But yeah, it is what it is, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I just found it weird that she's in that time loop that she can't get out of, which makes sense because we look at her and it's like, oh, you haven't aged, so something's weird. And I get the feeling there's kind of a quality to this story that is sort of like that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing when the Hive showed up, where it's like they aren't really there anymore. They're just infected by whatever's here, and it's just meat puppeting them.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the vibe I got from that.
I mean, it's aliens. Yeah, because I mean, she was so crazy. I thought I'm like, this either isn't her. Yeah, she's been taken over.
Well, yeah. Well, either that took that form or to interact with these humans because, this one's a human. I have a human that has been here before,
Yeah.
So that could be the possibility. There's lots of possibilities that we're seeing in this, and it's interesting. It's interesting. I really like Legends of Tomorrow. I like what they're doing this season. Now we're fighting aliens. Why not?
I mean, they always try to tweak the theme a little bit. Sometimes it's time travel. Sometimes it's magic. This time it's aliens. Yeah.
And it's trying to reconnect, Eva and
Sarah. Yeah.
Sarah. Yeah, how did it get to be Everus? I don't know. But anyway.
Avalanche.
Avalanche? Oh, is that what it is? Oh, yeah, it's Sarah Lanch and Eva, so it's Avalanche.
Yeah, Eva
Lanch. I was trying to remember what the heck the ship name was on that. Anyway, I like it. I don't know about you, Phil, but I like it, and I like the Big Belly the Big Bang Burger concept and the secret sauce. Although, man, I don't know that woman. It's like no stuff is falling from the ceiling, and
I know.
It's weird.
I don't know what this weird substance is falling from the ceiling, but I'll put it in a burger. It's
Well, I liked the idea that this is a secretion the creature emits to have mammals in the area just sort of get it and then just want to get fattened up.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is that doesn't necessarily mean that they would go. Like I could see an animal just eating that substance, but then all you're going to eat is stuff you've already secreted. Sure. So you need them to want to eat other things. So I don't know if it 100% works, but it works for it as a Mothra character.
Legends of Tomorrow logic.
Little disappointed that they did not have Heatwave take out the moth because it's like, moth to a flame. It's like it writes itself, and they didn't do that. They went with a bug zapper motif, I guess, because they felt that Isis needed the arc. But it's like, it just seems like that was one. But maybe that's why he's leaving. It's like he's not getting the good lines, or maybe he just didn't want to do the line.
Yeah, because even last season and stuff. Yeah, I don't know if he's even there all the time. So
yeah. Anyway, but I enjoyed it as a story. If you can get beyond the politics of it and the things unsaid, it was actually really enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that was most interesting to me this week, outside of that, though, was that, and it's two simultaneous kind of reveals. One is that Shang-Chi and the Eternals are not apparently being released in China, which is kind of interesting considering that these were two films that were expressly written for the Chinese market. And it just, you can see Marvel's like, oh, okay, cool. But at the same time, they've also announced that they will not be released same day on Disney Plus. Those are going back to theaters as a first run. And it strikes me these two facts may be related. In the idea that they realize they can't do a same-day release with this because they're losing that Chinese theater market. So they have to pump up the U.S. market and other markets by doing direct theater releases only. What do you think, Phil? I mean, that seems like the logic to me.
Do you that, and it's like if China is going to like cause a stink, if they put it on Disney Plus, it's going to be easier to pump it into the market. But if they're going to give them a problem, it's going to be like, well, yeah, they want it in your theaters. Okay, we're not going to put it in your theater. But again, I mean, didn't they make that same stink about Doctor Strange? Did that end up getting shown in China or no?
That did get shown in China, as I recall. They haven't lost the Chinese market yet. So this is the first time. So it could also be some Chinese officials looking to wet their beak a little more.
Yeah.
And that's because, I mean, not for nothing, the Chinese market does have a lot of people in it who very much work on a bribery system. And it's this very complex issue in China because China wants to not have a corrupt government. But because it has a corrupt government, they kind of have to silence people pointing out how corrupt the government is because they want the government to be understood to not be corrupt. So you can't say the government is corrupt in China, even though that is part of the problems that the Chinese government is constantly fighting because they really don't want some local official dipping his beak all the time and causing inefficiency in the system.
So
that's how you get revolutions.
So basically, you're saying a corrupt politician or somebody over there wants Disney to pony up, basically bribe them to let them in the country.
Essentially, yeah, that's it. Essentially, it's like, oh, well, that's what's not decided. So they're presenting the idea that it's not on the list of films to be released. So they're letting Disney know it's not on the list. And then maybe Disney's just going to, oh, I'm sorry, is that your wallet that fell on the ground with this money? I don't know. Certainly not our wallet that fell on the ground with this money. Perhaps you should take it, put it in the lost and found. And then we'll see if that changes. And then that little bureaucrat says to his boss, well, no, it wasn't on because the decision wasn't made. Guess what? We just made a decision. And that's how these kind of things work. But it's possible that Marvel making the choice or Disney making the choice to say, no, you know what? We're just going to U.S. theaters and your people will not have a Chinese superhero. And you'll deal with that cultural fallout. You didn't do that.
If nothing else, I mean, Disney really doesn't want to do that with China because, I mean, they start doing that. Aren't there going to be other countries with like some corrupt people saying, "Oh, hey, wait a minute"?
No, because you can only do that. You can only do that if you have a media control board.
Yeah,
that is highly restrictive. So, for example, Russia, Canada, the UK, generally speaking, they aren't as restrictive with these things. Like the only one that gets close to it is the German board, but they're only worried about you like profiting off of Nazis. There's anything goes except for Nazis. Like nope, no Nazis, and that's like their rule. They got like one rule, and it's like that's why you can't have Nazis in films a lot of times because they say no, we just do not. We don't put them in our movies. We do not glorify them in any way. We don't even like Hogan's Heroes. You can make a stupid Nazi. You can make a evil Nazi. Someone's going to like them. And we don't want anyone ever liking Nazis. They're adamant about this. They've gone through this. They're not doing it again. So the idea that, China might be doing a flex on this, it's possible. But I think that maybe what Disney is doing is flexing back. And that is the kind of thing that will get that petty bureaucrat in trouble. Because generally speaking, it's not that, Beijing doesn't know about corruption. They just want to handle their corruption quietly on their own terms.
They don't want to admit it to the world. Yeah, no.
They don't want to admit it to the world. But if you're like, oh, well, gee, I guess I'm sorry we didn't meet your standards. We'll just release this in another way elsewhere. Our apologies, sir. And then someone in Beijing will say, "Hey, bureaucrat who said Disney couldn't release their blockbuster Chinese superhero.
You're about to disappear."
Well, it's like, why did you make that choice? Could you sell us on this choice? Now, granted, you can make the idea of Western culture. There's some vibes in there that people could say they had a coverage on. I don't know what their coverage is going to be on internals. Although, actually, in that one, the director actually made her statements about Hong Kong. So I think a lot of people felt that was coming. But then again, it's like, yeah, but is this a film about Hong Kong? It's not about Hong Kong. The director may be doing it. We just don't even have to say she directed it. We can just say Marvel movie. The Marvel movie, Eternals, now showing in Beijing, directed itself. Kevin Feige, producer. That's all you need to know. Everything else inconsequential.
People just showed up, did stuff in front of a camera.
It's actually a documentary. And that's the idea. So, yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting how it's playing out because this is, and people have worried about pushback from China for a long time. This is the first time China's really pushed back on things.
Mm.
And this is the thing. This is not an official pushback. All that has happened is one news release doesn't have these Marvel films listed on their list of films to be released on the Marvel release schedule. So it's a very passive-aggressive way to present it. And I think there's just a lot of negotiations going around and back and forth, and everyone being, oh, pardon me, no, pardon me, no, pardon you, no, pardon you first, please go through. And that's where we're at, I'm thinking, with that. But we'll have to see where it goes. Oh, what else was on our list this week, Philip?
Do you want to say something about the Loki?
Oh, yes. So that's the big news. Well, it's not a big news, but it's big enough for me. Is Marvel is sponsoring a tweet along with Loki, a live tweet at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, on the day that Loki drops. So Loki will have already dropped, but they're going to be doing this live tweet event, which is an interesting idea about moving appointment viewing into this range where people will be able to live tweet it and say, we're going to gather as a community to watch it. You can watch it before, or you can watch it at that moment and do your live tweets then. And for what it's worth, I get the feeling we're going to get some great live tweets, because I get the feeling a lot of people are going to be scripting their live tweets since 3 a.m. the previous day. Yeah, okay. I got. Oh, and that's what we'll say here, and we'll do a rewatch, and I think we're going to have a great amount of live tweeting. We're going to have a lot of social interaction, and for what it's worth, that is one of the strengths of the social media platform with streaming content, is how do you get the eyeballs there?
Mm-hmm.
How do you direct social interest into this? Because when you have a bunch of tweets trending, when you have a bunch of posts about this coming into your filter, it's going to make you want to seek it out. It's going to make you be interested. It's going to get you there. And that, I think, is what they're trying to build up with that. And this is, I think, the first time where there is a corporate ascribed live tweet time. I mean, I know a lot of fans will do their live tweet time. I know E-Man always does a live tweet at a certain time. E-Man, who has been raising in popularity because he's been on like 2 morning shows now, both talking about the Black Superman and whether or not they should recast T'Challa. So he's doing very well for himself. He's making his name. And this is the kind of thing where I think we're going to get, this is Marvel Disney saying, a lot of people are doing these live tweet parties. We're going to do that too. and we're saying, okay, everyone, this is when we're doing it. I think they're following everyone else's lead, but I think they're also saying, okay, we're going to be here too, guys. So,
and I wouldn't be surprised.
Follow our lead.
Yeah, if they have a set time, they're like, oh, hey, guess what, kids? This week, Tom Hiddleston's going to be live tweeting, so join in.
Yeah.
Whoever else is in this show, next week it'll be so and so from this series. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Owen Wilson will, and it's Owen Wilson, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the random Wilson boys. I know that. And I'm blanking on her name, but she was actually Ruby in Lovecraft Country, so I'm really hoping she has a big part in this.
Because I mean, live tweeting, you can basically do it from anywhere. I mean, they could be sitting on their couch at home in their pajamas. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course our eventual Morgan Le Fay. Ooh. Mark my words, the villain is Morgan Le Fay. Don't buy any of this Lady Loki stuff. Don't buy any of this the Enchantress stuff. Morgan Le Fay. She's time traveler. She's magic. She's fought people all the time. It's Morgan Le Fay. And she has ties to everybody else in the Marvel Universe, from Doctor Doom to Spider-Woman. So there's lots of stuff that they can interweave with Morgan Le Fay. And all of Arthurian legend, which is a fun public domain stuff that they can work with. So, yes, good for that. Okay.
I wonder even if it's just like a cameo. I wonder if they're gonna like throw in Kang somewhere, since it is time travel, because Kang shows up in Quantum Mania.
It's a possibility. They just announced recently that they're casting a teenage girl for this as well. So that's who could the teenage girl be for Quantum Mania? At first, when they said teenage, I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be Iron Lad. But then I go, well, maybe it's going to be somebody else. But because they already have a Cassie Lang.
Yeah.
I don't think they're just recasting Cassie Lang out of the blue.
Mm-mm.
In fact, they have 2 Cassie Langs at this point. But that's okay. So I think that this other girl is going to be someone else, possibly someone who lives within the quantum zone. The quantum. Maybe it's going to be the Psycho Woman. I don't know.
Well, they did that with the ghost, so yeah, it could be.
Ooh, it could. Oh no, that's the. I always get the negative zone and the microverse mixed up. Oh, it could be an Alice. Like, nope, that's someone else. But yeah, Psycho Man would be the thing. And then there was also there was the queen that Hulk fell in love with in the microverse at one point. Wasn't there?
Jarella,
Jarella. So it could be Jarella. We might go into that there. You know, maybe Bruce Banner will show up. I'm still waiting for Tyra Burrell to come back. That's all I got to say. My comic books. Oh, I've dropped them all. Oh, goodness. 1 second, Philip. Let me reclaim my books. They all fell on the floor. Okay. Do you want to talk books, Phil, or do you have something else you'd like to discuss this week?
No, that's fine.
Because we got like a ton of books. We've got an entire other universe of superheroes to talk about here, Phil. I'm, of course, talking about Heroes Reborn, superhero, Hyperion, as if you needed another determination for him.
Yep.
And it's weird because they say read Hyperion first, or they say read this book first. Because when you get the order, it's like it's this book and then Shutterbug and Hyperion and the Imperial Guard. I actually think that because I read Shutterbug first and then I read this, but I actually think this makes way more sense after you've read this, or both of these. Not the least of which is, let's talk Peter Parker, the amazing Shutterbug first.
Okay.
In this one, he never gets bitten by the spider.
Nope.
The spider gets stepped on. Or actually, no, I think it's supposed to be that because we see the spider walking there, but then just someone else just randomly steps on it. We see Uncle Ben and Aunt May. We see him moving on. We see Flash Thompson never growing as a person. We see Pete and MJ not hooking up, although I don't know, it's been a short time. I mean, they clearly have a relationship in this. And then we see that Peter Parker has created awesome drones, super maneuverable video drones. And we see this person here. Who is this? Lady with red hair, pink hair, something.
Carolyn Trainer.
Yeah, who's Carolyn Trainer? Do you know who this is, Phil?
Yes, that's during the Clone Saga. That was the female Dr. Octopus.
Oh, isn't that fascinating? So
90s,
that's yes. And this is where we get into, and this is the parallel storytelling, because here in this one we see Aunt May gets killed by Hyperion. And why this is not a bigger deal, I don't know. Like, why is J. Jonah Jameson not railing against the superheroes, except maybe that, in this world, under the evil watch of Phil Coulson, they're too powerful. But you kind of get this weird thing where it's like, when you have Pete kind of thinking certain things in this, and then we're going to parallel that when we get to the Hyperion story, you kind of get that they're casting in this book, told from Hyperion's point of view, that Peter Parker is kind of a Jimmy Olsen character. Whereas in here we see sort of like, no, he actually hates Hyperion, and Hyperion just is too darn thick to understand that. We have Hank Pym, the Ultron, with his size changing powers, because apparently, there was a bunch of Pym particle things and the crack to the negative zone.
Didn't Ultron absorb Hank Pym, and his system was probably like saturated with Pym particles?
Yeah, and that's essentially what's happened at this point. And then we see that Pete does get eventually bitten by a bug, but then he throws himself out the window. Oh, no. And along those same lines, when we get to this, we do see references to when we get to the the Hyperion story, we get him basically being all Hyperion. Galactus has come, but Galactus is apparently the person who killed the world that Milton Marcus is from. And so he just basically, flies through Galactus.
I get what they're going for there, but just him flying through Galactus's head, isn't Galactus supposed to be like? Yeah, he's tiny. He has a physical body, but isn't he supposed to be like more than physical also?
Absolutely, he is. But here's the thing, and this is the thing that is the point: is that reality has been changed. Things are not as they're supposed to be.
But we still don't know what's altered reality and made Hyperion.
Well, we might get that, because in this one, the way I like this, where he's grading the papers, because he is the school teacher in this one.
In the sky, yeah.
I don't know if that is what his school... that's the thing, I don't know if he was a school teacher in the original Squadron Supreme comics, but every time I see that, I think of William Burnside's, who became a school teacher, and I kind of feel like there's a very William Burnside-y, America, hard-fought liberty kind of thing here. We do see the Brood Imperium here, which we do get referenced when we get to Hyperion and the Imperial Guard, which becomes this really touching turning point moment for Hyperion in that, because we find out that when Hyperion was young Hyperion boy, he went to go serve with the sheer Imperial Guard, and then basically after they defeated the Warbird, they go to her secret kingdom, but it had been infected by the Brood in the negative zone. The Brood infect all of them, and then they all have to sacrifice themselves. Oh no, sacrificing yourself.
Yep.
including the one, Hyperion's one true love, and that's when he becomes truly alone. Oh, but look at this letters page that tells you all about like what had previously happened.
I know.
I don't read fast enough to know any of these stories yet, but I'm sure they're great. I'm sure that is the kind of content that you would have so much fun reading, and I would if I was like a teenage kid who had tons of time and not a podcast to do. We then get the Starjammers with Johnny Storm of the Nova Corps. So that's cool, and that ties into the fact that Reed Richards of the of Shield and Ben Grimm
are basically in charge of the negative zone.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so they're in charge of, well, they're basically in charge of everything, and Reed is like telling Milton, "No, you're wrong. This is a bad idea, and everything's escaping now." But Hulk as Bizarro Hyperion, I found really interesting.
Yeah,
because you can see that they're messing with Hulk's mind.
Oh yeah, because I guess kind of like Blade, Hulk is maybe trying to see through this.
Yeah, exactly, and well, because of course Hulk can see through things, but that was one of the moments that really struck me in this, which is, do they have him? I'm trying to see where it is where he fights Mr. Beyonder.
Oh, it's before the Hulk thing. It's like the page before Peter Parker stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, the fighting Mr. Beyonder, which is supposed to be a Mr. Mixoplex reference, but it opens up this possibility: are they teasing us with the Beyonder in this? And for what it's worth, the Beyonders. So, and again, like nothing's canon.
I kind of thought, is it kind of like a combo of the Beyonder and the Impossible Man, maybe?
Well, I guess maybe a little bit it's supposed to be. Although, again, when we saw the Beyonders, when the Beyonders were attacking, they all kind of looked a lot of weird different ways. Some were mechanical, some were just alien looking. Part of me thinks that one of the things with the Beyonders is that there is an evolutionary rate. So, okay. So, cosmic cubes come from the Beyonders. And it is Beyonder energy that comes into this universe. That cube then evolves into a sentient being, of which the race of which the Golden Age Vision was a part of helps to tutle into life. And we know that this kind of cosmic change is not beyond a cube's power or a Beyonder's power.
Yes.
And maybe this is going to be relating to something about the return of the Molecule Man or any number of possibilities. But
yeah, I mean, you even see Mr. Beyonder says this world is built of lies, and Hyperion is the mightiest liar of all.
Yes, which makes me think that this is his wish world from his little computer brain, wanting to be a real boy, wanting the lies to be made real. And we see him in his little magic. We see him sort of in the sun, incubating, contemplating, and then when he returns and he's back at school, there's this crazy old man outside, just an old vet. Oh, I'm sorry, just listening to your history lesson. It was quite interesting, and shakes his hand, and Hyperion feels weak. And so we get Steve Rogers, Nexus being. Because that's the big reveal, kids. That old vet, that was Steve Rogers the whole time. And within that is the concept that, and they did this with the 1692 stories, where it was because Steve Rogers had become unhinged from time that everything shattered in the Marvel Universe and everything shifted, because Steve Rogers really is just that Nexus being. And then if you likewise pull Steve Rogers out of time, put him somewhere else, that affects the creation of this universe, and then maybe you can install your own different heroes. So Pretty interesting. I'm gonna say that I liked it.
Oh yeah. I'm just
But
all these upcoming books look so good.
well, that was the thing. I had this feeling that the Heroes Reborn was going to be good.
Yeah, I mean,
because it was. Yeah, it seems like wow, they're jamming it all into a month, and what is this Heroes Reborn? Nobody liked that. Why are they revisiting Heroes Reborn? But it's like, oh, this is good.
Night Gwen, and then American Knights with Commissioner Cage.
I'm telling you, and you see how they're doing their own. They're doing their DC universe.
Oh yeah,
this is their amalgam, but all their own properties. Sort of like when they did that whole merged characters bit, like last year or a couple of years ago. It's the same idea. It's like, oh, what if we just did what they do, but we'll do it so much better because we're just doing it as one shot, so we can take all the best aspects.
Yep.
And just play them out. By the way, I loved Starjammers expressly because we have Cyclops in control of his vision.
Yes.
And that is like the one thing that just bugs me about clone Cyclops, that they keep on giving him the same brain damage to prevent him from controlling his vision.
Yeah, but if they don't, then he's going to see through the illusion, though.
Well, I guess. I don't know. Whatever it is.
I don't know, yeah.
To me, it doesn't make sense. It's like if you were growing me a new body, it would be the new body as it's supposed to be. Wait, let's make sure that you have that big scar there. Let's make sure we chop off your arm since you didn't have an arm in the last life.
I mean, unless he's like in the psychosomatic thing like Ben Grimm.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. It's always done. And speaking of Ben Grimm.
Oh, Fantastic
Let's talk
Four.
Fantastic Four, because you know what we get in this, Philip?
Something
that was we thought, well, is that canonical? When she does that, is that canonical? It's canonical, Phil. You know what I'm talking about, right?
The whole Elijah thing?
Well, what happens with Elijah when she just decides, my world needs me, I must leave?
Oh, yeah, Alicia, yeah.
Who's the puppet master, Phil?
Alicia Masters, Grimm.
Alicia Masters Grimm is the puppet master now. And that is in it now. She is like, no, I know what I'm doing. Do
you think is she going to be a straight up supervillain, or is it just like an addiction? It's like, oh, I can make people do whatever I want. This feels kind of good.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a little from column A, a little from column B. I don't think she's ever going to go straight up supervillain.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like a whole, we got to talk about this.
Or, I mean, it's not going to be the tragedy that, Ben has to, like, leave her because she's a supervillain.
No, I don't think Ben's going to leave her, although I think she is eventually going to win some arguments in an unprofessional way.
Oh, okay.
I think at some point her kids' unruliness is going to get a little bit beyond her. And I think that's when it's going to come to the fire. I don't think like Lydia is the problem that she's appears to be. She's mostly just there to cause problems for Johnny.
Oh yeah, they want the whole love triangle thing. But I love that in the beginning when Johnny calls Crystal, he's like, "Yes, I told her everything about you and me, you and your sister, all of it."
Mm-hmm. But then we have Johnny with Victorious.
Oh yeah,
hiding under the bed when good old Doom. God, he's an idiot.
These words are only for you.
Okay. It's so like 80s body comedy. It's such a French farce thing. It's pathetic. And then to highlight Doom's patheticness is his whole challenge to Reed Richards to play this game of chess.
Yeah.
From when they were in college. When Reed tried, like, as a human being to connect with this dude. And he's like, no, you see, it was all a feint. I just wanted to best you at swords. So I could make you be my best man. Because I am such a lame jerkwad.
Because I can't just come out and ask you.
It's like, dude, no emotional intelligence. Honestly, I kind of think you're just good with shapes, maybe numbers. Oh, Lord of Hammers. So, Conan the Barbarian, number 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to say about Fantastic Four? Or
No, I thought because of the Doom angle you were going to go to Guardians, but no, that's fine.
Oh, I thought we already talked Guardians. Well, we can talk Guardians again.
No, not really. No.
I mean, what's there to tell? It's like, Ego is, I don't know, Ego's a living planet and has worshippers now.
Well, no, I was just going to say the whole Doom mind swap thing.
Yeah. And again, he's a petty dabbler.
Yeah.
He is always operating from the perspective that I'm the smartest person in the room. No one else knows what's going on. And meanwhile, Moon Dragon's like, oh, okay, so that's how he does that. Let me just jujitsu him real quick here. And throws him into Rocket.
Yeah.
I love Rocket saying, hey, you know what? If I get to ride around this gear, I might be fine with being in this body.
Got a human body, yeah.
Yeah. And I love that they goad him. They goad him into, well, yeah, we see. Yeah, you like having that super strong, super flexible scroll body. Yeah, we can see why you'd want to have that body, not your own pathetic broken body. Yeah, we understand. No, man, I can do anything I want. And it's like, see, and it's like the reverse of being born in the briar patch. He's like, no, I like to be stuck in the tar baby. Get me in there.
And so, if Doom's doing the mind swap thing, that has to be the real Doom, right? So, if this is taking place at the same time, I mean, I know they don't care about continuity anymore. So, is Victorious going to be marrying a Doombot then?
Well, it's not taking place at the same time. I'm presuming this is like slightly after, because the idea is that he is going into space, needs her to run the kingdom while he's away, but now he has to go face the big thing, the big threat that he doesn't know what the big threat is, but he knows there's going to be one. And instead of it appearing on Earth like 99% of the time does, he says, it's going to be out there, because he said, well, I didn't know it was going to be a planet of death worshippers, but yeah, I knew it was going to be something.
Oh, it's the next big cosmic event. What is it? The Last Annihilation or something? Yeah. Yeah.
It's like another one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my favorite, like when the incursions happens, and like Deadpool's like, wait, didn't the heroes solve that yet? Like that's the shock. It's like, oh, I guess that one didn't work. You can't go to that well that often, but
and then Star-Lord in his infinite wisdom makes Doom a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, well, if he behaves, I guess. It is what it is.
It's gonna be like Thor at the end of the end game. Oh, of course you're in charge. Yes.
I mean, I don't know how anyone takes Doom seriously.
I know.
Because here's the thing about Doom. He talks a big game, but he gets beat up a lot. Doesn't really okay. He's conquered one part of he's just expanded Latvarian borders with, I don't know, is it Skirmirchia or whatever it is? It's not Sokovia.
Yeah, Silver Sable. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, is this going to last? People don't like to be conquered, generally speaking. And it's like, all you do by being the evil, dictator is it makes people not like you being an evil dictator. It's like, like when he had his little municipality, it's sort of like Wakanda. Like the reason Wakanda doesn't conquer the Earth, because that's a lot of paperwork. Do you have any idea how much paperwork is involved in conquering the entire planet? Whereas we can just sit in our own little place and we can take care of our people. And we can all be cool. We can help other people when they ask. But generally speaking, we don't want the headache of conquering all y'all. That is just too much work.
Well, again, they're a little more benevolent than Doom. So,
well, but that's the point. Is Doom doesn't think it through.
Yeah.
Doom doesn't think about the bureaucracy, because he's like, I will blow you up. It's sort of like when Conan becomes king of one thing, and like all the bureaucrats are coming up with like, someone's got to like deal with the waste refuse. He's like, I want to go punch people and stab them. It's like, that's not what a king does.
Oh, please. Doom was in a war for years with a child and he couldn't beat him.
Doom has been in a war with everybody and can't beat him. It's just
That's what I was going to say. What has Doom done successfully that hasn't been overturned? Nothing.
Exactly. I mean, he's a petty dabbler. Even in magic, he's a petty dabbler. It's like, if he can get a talisman or something, he might be able to pull a fast one on Strange. That's like Loki pulling a fast one on Strange, except not as good. Because Loki's just a god, and he has to pull a fast one. And Doom can also pull a fast one. I
mean, Doom was decent as the infamous Iron Man, but they undid that real quick.
Yeah, even that he wasn't that good at. He was.
I mean,
he doesn't have the temperament for it. He's here's what I'll say. What I like about Otto knows who he is.
Oh yeah.
Otto knows he's a supervillain. He's doing his thing, and Otto isn't interested in conquering the world because he knows how much paperwork that is. I just want someone to really look at a supervillain once and say, that's like I said, that's my thing with Bentley. It's like, make him king of the world because he is the first one to say that sounds like a lot of paperwork. I'm going to designate a Congress to handle the paperwork. You elect some representatives, let them handle the paperwork. I'll sign it off. I'll be the queen. I'll be the king.
That's what that's what we need. Forget this Sinister Six war that's coming. We need some kind of like a villain war between like Doom and Otto. Throw the Wizard in there.
That was the intelligentsia. They did that in the World War Hulk story.
Yeah, but they were kind of trying to work together. I'm just saying, just throw them all in a room. Have every man for himself.
No, because the Wizard isn't stupid enough to do that. The Mad Thinker isn't. The only people that might be stupid enough to do that are the Leader and Dr. Doom. Everyone else is going to be like, no.
Well, set up a situation where most of them don't have
dog, we're good.
Most of them don't have a choice being there. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you could do like a contest of champions of supervillains. And then, Doc Ock, his vanity's on the line. He's not going to be shown up by some kind of petty dabbler college dropout like Doom. And that's the thing. It's like, if you actually put like people that have like focused on things, and then again, that's where a guy like Dr. Octopus would succeed, because he can say, hey, Mordo, I don't know magic. You know magic, right? It's like, yeah, well, why don't you and I work together, and I'll beat this guy in his science, you beat him in his magic, and then, we'll take out this college dropout petty dabbler and send him home crying to his mama with Mephisto, because...
His arch nemesis is a super smart rubber band.
Well, to be fair, he is a very smart rubber band.
Oh, yes.
And that's the thing. And also, he's totally not like aggressive towards him. It's not like his villain is Reed Richards if he was the Punisher.
Yeah, no.
It's like if Reed Richards was the Punisher, if like ever anything, like, how those Superman stories always go, where like, oh no, someone killed Lois. Well, guess I'm evil now. It's like nobody is ever going to touch any hair on anyone in Reed Richards' family's head, because they know, oh, you don't want me to go bad. You don't want Reed Richards to break bad, because he's going to break bad all over all of y'all.
They drop you all in the negative zone.
Yeah, that is the Phantom Raider universe.
Oh,
where Galactus killed his family. And so he goes around and to be fair, he only kills other Reed Richardses. He just hates himself so much, so he has to kill all of himself before he makes more mistakes. Effectively, yeah. So anyway.
All right.
Okay,
Tell me about
Conan the Barbarian. I was hoping they were going to do a whole thing with this guy being an ancient Howlet, because we got that fact last issue that this guy just sort of heals himself up. You break his neck, he just pops it right back into place.
Oh, jeez.
Because, hey, who knows where that genetic line started? I am waiting for my Eternals scene with Enkidu where he pops claws. That's all I want. I just want an Enkidu popping a claw, facing off against Gilgamesh, and then becoming best friends. That would be awesome. You can even do it in like a weird anime thing at the start of it. Like, there were many legends of the Eternals. There was Gilgamesh and the wild man Enkidu. And then you just have this thing, and they fought, but then became friends. And you just have one scene with the claws out, and then it's like, that will be the biggest thing. That will be as big as Avengers Assemble. That it'll be as big as Cap grabbing the hammer. You just pop those claws on Enkidu. It's yours for free, Marvel. I don't make claim to it. Do it. But so it's like this whole thing. Oh, he says he's empowered by the spirits of his ancestors, and all of my men may get super healing too if they just follow what I do. Which sounds a lot like the Raised Fists of Righteous Harmony or the Boxer Rebellion, where they sort of said, yes, bullets bounce off of us, and if you follow us, bullets will bounce off of you as well. Spoiler, bullets did not bounce off of them. Yes. But then we find out that our little scholar actually is a super powerful sorceress who is sort of leading this guy into a trap because she has been charged to defeat him by any means necessary. They get wind of a great caravan of riches for the emperor that they can seize, but they realize it was a trap, that it was just a bunch of malnourished prisoners, and then they're attacked. But then in the fight, Conan and the guy who has the healing powers, then it turns out it is basically a bunch of demonic possessions. They're giving him these powers. He releases them, but then the lady puts them in a binding, and then Conan kills the guy, which is cool. But then he's like, yeah, look, let me just grab what gold I can out of these people, and I'll leave you guys be. And they're like, no. You got to come to the capital because we got to have a celebration. And if you don't do it, it's an affront to us. And it's like, great. So he's got to go, and they've got the dang demon's tooth sword again. And he's like, that's dang sword. Freaking magic swords. Razzle dazzle. Yeah, so that's what happened in Conan this week. Do you got a book you want to talk about, Phil?
No, I think.
Okay, so my last book this week is Star Wars: High Republic. So basically, long story short, there's like a plant monster that's trying to take over the universe that causes the Hutts and the Jedi to team up. Although before that, they all keep on fighting. One of these plant infestations has infected the Jedi Master. That is our Padawan POV character's master. He eventually breaks free, but just long enough to say, here's how we have to defeat them. We have to let them know that our meat is rotten and that they should not infect us, which they do, which causes them to run, although only after the Hutts agree to work with the Jedi. So maybe there's something that'll come from this. But then we see that the stress of it actually killed our poor Jedi Master, at least seemingly on the last page. So we'll see if it takes. Maybe he becomes back as a Force ghost, because sure, why not? I do like the High Republic stories. It's a really great take on Star Wars, generally speaking. It's different. It's new. I think it carries a lot with it. And so, I endorse it. And that's all my books this week, Philip. Any final thoughts for tonight, Philip, before we call this a night?
No, I think we're good.
Well, Philip, I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy listening to you. But you know what helps listening, Philip? High quality headphones. That's right.
Tweaked audio
headphones. And right now, our dear listeners, you may be listening on 99-cent store headphones, and they're going out. I'm saying, because every time you move your head a bit, it like the short files, and then you can't hear. Go to tweakedaudio.com. Use the coupon code SouthDate at checkout. Get a decent quality headphone at a fraction of retail costs, and it helps you out, helps us out, helps everyone out. It's just a good thing to do. Likewise, they can go to huntakiller.com, use the exact same coupon code, and if you like those serial killer podcasts and said, man, I wish I knew a serial killer so I could be part of a podcast, well, now you can. Because you're going to help Michelle Gray solve a cold case. And it's like getting a serial killer podcast delivered to your house. And we all know how much you kids like that. Likewise, go down into our show notes. Click on the link to Amazon. Go to Amazon.com. Buy anything you want. While you're there, check out Pod Life, the book. The book written by the Southgate community heroes. I don't use that term loosely. Heroes who are making all of this content for you to enjoy. Find out why we podcast. You might enjoy it. It's available both in paperback and in digital download. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, big shout out, Venture Brothers is coming back as a movie. Not much to say about it aside from that it's something that exists, and if you like Venture Brothers, you'll like it. They're also doing Metalopocalypse, I think that's what it was, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which already had a movie, so I don't know what that's about, but sure, why not? Yeah, they're getting a movie too. So Aqua Teen Hunger Force, if you're a fan, that's coming back. Metalopocalypse is getting another movie, all to be released on HBO Max. And the one that actually matters is, of course, Venture Brothers. So that's good. And if anyone wants to talk about that, Phil, how can they find you to mention it to you?
Get a hold of me or the rest of the team. Email capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Or find links to all of our various social medias, YouTube channel, Patreon, merchandise at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way that our mothers and fathers once said at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And follow me on Twitter as I live tweet Legends of Tomorrow, Sunday nights at 8, and Loki, eventually Wednesday nights at 8, Eastern Standard Time, at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE ESSER. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality.
Bing!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to another episode of Super Connectivity. Kept it under an hour this week, kids. Thank you. Please come back next week and super connect with me and Phil once again. Good night.
It should be like 1 minute under or something. Yeah, he did it, kids. You know what?
Hey, under an hour. It's an achievement.
I know. I mean, we had a lot of good books this week.
Yeah, we got a lot of books. We got a lot of news. We got a lot covered. And make sure you scroll up and hear what we also talked about with the great Tyler Patrick and Little Hellfire on Capes and Lunatics earlier today.